Hello everybody, it is Marty McConnell, the Off-Grid Gecko, and I'm sorry about the camera angle and what I'm about to do to you as far as the visuals, but we're going to talk about some shit when it comes to solar panels. Stay tuned. Alright, so one of the most commonly asked questions on the internet, even when you're searching for something else with regards to solar panels, is how do I add more solar panels to my array or my system or whatever terminology they want to use. This is a 2-inch pipe. Never mind. Here's the thing. That's easy. Everybody's already talking about it. Who fucking cares? But it's keyword friendly, and of course people are going to jump on that bandwagon, so everybody and their brother has an article out about this. I guarantee you, you're going to have trouble finding an article about what we're going to be talking about today. And this is a different kind of solar power upgrading. Alright, so this is the question, right? I've got my solar MPPT up here. I have my inverter down there. Where's my hand? That thing with the green lights on it is an inverter. It's a 4,000 watt Ames Pro power inverter, and for the solar community people out there, you're gonna say, oh no, Ames Pro, there's your problem, you're fucking up. Yeah, maybe. But you know what? The thing has been reliable and it's been sitting there running for 3 years. So you talk trash about Ames Pro as much as you want, it works for me. So maybe I got the one that's not a lemon or whatever, I don't know. People have a problem with those for some reason. But the biggest problem with it for me is that little joker down there draws about 60 watts of power constantly, every day, all day. And that adds up. You know, you're burning up like 1.5 kilowatts of power all day to essentially do nothing. I'm never here. I'm at work. I'm out in the garden. I'm out messing with bee stuff. I'm building things. I'm never actually in the house until nighttime. So why is that thing running all day? Well, when I'm at work, I like to have this light behind you on for the light you're seeing reflected here, so that when I get home I can see my way to the porch without stepping on a cat. That's one reason. Another reason is there are certain things that are just good to have on active all day. I'm thinking about doing some upgrades to the air conditioner where I can trick this thing into using the sensing technology to power the air conditioner, because the AC is really not set up for it. So if I do that, there will be another video on that. But what I wanted to do was minimize the amount of electricity that's being chewed up all day, without totally getting rid of that, because there are times when I need all that power. I didn't get a 4,000 watt inverter just to say, ooh, I've got a big 4,000 watt inverter, which really isn't that big to begin with, but I wanted to have the power that I needed to run the things that I thought I was going to need to run at the time. So I've got that. So what I've done to upgrade my system, and people have actually laughed when I've told them this, is I've gotten a smaller inverter. And they're like, you're going to upgrade your system by getting something smaller? Don't you normally get bigger things to upgrade? And like, yeah, I guess the normal person does. And that's kind of the one-upsmanship built into our brain and our reality, is that we want to one-up everything. We want to make it better. Better means more, bigger, more expensive, more money, more, you know, notoriety or whatever. But sometimes less is more. And in this case, less is a lot less. So this guy down here, where's your hands? That little red thing down there, that is it's a little 300 watt inverter, typical of what you would see on like a car inverter, except that is a pure sine inverter. So it's creating a waveform that's, you know, really smooth and won't screw up your electronics. That's kind of complicated to explain why I have a hair up my butt about that, so we'll just leave that for a later video. But that little guy's running at 300 watts. Now the trick is I've got a 48 volt battery system, so hooking up a small inverter, most of them run at 12 volts. So how are you going to hook it up? Because they're designed for cars, right, and trucks. So I've got a little transformer down there next to it. I've had that thing forever. It's only 240 watts, but that doesn't matter. I'll get to why in a minute. So I've got it being powered off that, and that little transformer, I call it a buck because, you know, engineering, basically takes 48 volts from the battery bank. So I'm not hooking up to like a third of the battery bank or some craziness like that. It's taking the entire battery bank charge, which is on these two big posts down here. And those are the main, you know, electrodes for connecting to the battery. And it converts that into 12 volt power, and it will serve up to 240 watts before it blows and turns into magic smoke. So that's feeding the inverter. The inverter, I also installed this little guy right here. That's just a, you know, a junction box, and I basically removed the circuitry for these top two circuits. Now these two circuits in my fuse panel, or my breaker box, go to the lighting, and they go to my laptop, my little power station here for charging my phone, and all that other stuff. And that's it. That's all those two. There's actually three of them there, but two breakers control is just those things, just the lighting, the laptop, and all of this can be done for under 100 watts, and this is what I use 99.5% of the time. Okay, so if I need to take a shower, that means the well pump over there is going to have to run. Cook, the well pump's going to have to run. If I need to hook up a power tool to that wall over there or whatever, like, that's going to require more power, more electricity. So then all I do is I go back here, switch this guy on, pop this open, turn the main breaker on. I'm thinking about putting in a softer switch because it's not good to be flicking these back and forth on a daily basis. And then I've got that power on reserve when I need it, where I need it. And that goes to plugs on this side of the house by the kitchen. So all the kitchen appliances that take way more than 300 watts usually, they can all hook into the big box, the big monster, and then all my little stuff on Little Monster. And Little Monster can run all day long at 8 watts instead of 60. So saves huge. So if you're thinking about a solar setup and you're getting ready to wire everything up and you're trying to, like, it took me a while to figure out how I was going to power this fuse panel, and I came up with an idea that sounded good at the time, and it ended up working out for me for the most part. I mean, I've got one line that I have to rerun here because I did have the grow lights and the air conditioner hooked up to that main circuit up there. So I'm going to put those back on this, but I'm going to keep the lighting and my workstation here on the little guy through the junction box. So I have one more line that I need to run back into the fuse panel, and then I'll be set and everything will be hooked up and ready for summer. But it's something to think about, right? And again, Ames Pro can be a power hog. So that's one of the downsides of buying a lower cost inverter. There are some upsides to it, but I'm not going to get into that argument right now because I know everybody hates Ames Pro. I'm not going to try and fight it. You can all just hate it as much as you want. Yeah. So little inverter, little power. If you get a really high quality inverter that doesn't require all that adjustment, then that's cool. For me, that wasn't in the cards. You know, I ended up with what I ended up with. Now, of course, I could have expanded my battery bank for thousands of dollars. I could have added some more panels and rigged them up because I've still got room on this solar charger for quite a bit of energy. I can run another 4 strings of solar panels, I think, which would be 12 more panels. So just that little bugger there cranks out quite a bit, and I've got the fuse block to set it up. But again, big costly expense versus just throwing that little inverter on there and going with it and see what it goes. I was going to do an unboxing video, but the camera cut out halfway through and kind of pissed me off, so I'm not recovering that data. It is a Best Tech, so I don't know if that's like an off-brand thing or not. I've never heard of them before, so but the thing was $50. It's a Pure Sinewave. Like, just grab it, throw down on it. If it lasts a month, I'll buy another one as a backup. and if it continues to work, I may just go ahead and purchase another one for my truck, just because I have really bad luck with these inverters. So after I got it hooked up, the fact that it even turned on and worked actually kind of surprised me, because I've had that happen where a small inverter just doesn't work right out of the package. And you know, there's nothing to be said for that kind of frustration, especially if you need one. But that's it. Upgrading by downgrading. So by splitting my power reserves and putting these two inverters essentially on two separate circuits and having them run to separate vehicles in the house, this little one doesn't need a fuse box. I just hit the little button or unplug the plug and we're good to go. So I ran these wires into the junction box and then attached them to another cable that I ran down. I put a plug on the end of it and just dropped it in the little plug-in, because that guy's not set up to wire directly to like a house panel. It's set up to wire to a regular 3-prong plug. I still actually need to run a ground wire on that, so I've got a dedicated ground line out here specifically for grounding electronics, and it works pretty well most of the time. Every once in a while I'll see a little lightning bolt zap down from the roof and hit the fireplace chimney, and that's kind of cool, but not often. Anyways, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start rambling, so I'm going to shut the hell up. I'm going to eat my rice and wish you all a good night. And if you're interested in the solar stuff, if you have any questions about solar that you can't find online and you want to ask me, ask away. If I know, I'll tell you. If I don't know, I might try to look it up and give you a link, or I might, tell you. I don't know when it comes to that, but I do tend to do a lot of research before I jump into things. So you can imagine I spent the better part of a year like shopping for solar power components and knowing the layout of how I was going to set this up before I got to it. And yes, I'm scratching. Somebody commented on that. I just got home from work and I took a shower, but little reminder here, I work in concrete. I get the dust on me. It was raining today, so I have like really, really dried out skin, and I scratch a lot. So that's why I'm not like hooked on methamphetamines or nothing. I'm just, it's something that I do because I have really, really dry skin and I work with caustic chemicals. So if you guys are really wondering about that, yes, that's where the scratching is coming from. Shouldn't do drugs. Why? Drugs are bad. But I'm going to let you guys go so you can get back on to watching more YouTube videos and probably watching a bunch of solar panel stuff. Don't believe everything that's spoon fed to you is the only recommendation I can give you. Like, learn how to do the math, figure it out for yourself, and do the calculations on your own. That's the only way you're really going to know, and the only way you're really going to know is to test the stuff, which requires a little more equipment. But yeah, get your head on your shoulders if you're going to set up a solar system. Like, don't just rely on common media stuff, because there's some good information out there, but there's a lot of really crappy information out there too. So buyer beware. You guys have a good night. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time. Hopefully, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll know as soon as I post a video, and then I'll definitely see you. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.